Hello, it is Topical Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. Steve Cypress here, and last night we had the first big monsoon rain wind storm of the year. The monsoon here in the Phoenix area, called the Valley, officially runs from June 15th to September 30th, and so this was the first storm since the start of the official monsoon season last night around 6 o'clock. I just looked up a few things, and the barometer, the pressure dropped, and the wind went up to about 45 miles an hour. I mean, the flagpole in the front of our house was just whipping back and forth. Dark, ominous rain clouds above. We only got a little bit of rain, but all over the valley, power outages, big winds, sandstorms coming in from the south. So I tuned in to local news this morning, because the day after a storm, the morning after, there's a lot of fun. There's a lot of excitement there. Thankfully, no massive damage or deaths. So just watching for the excitement. And sure enough, about the first 15, 20 minutes of the broadcast is just filled with, they had the helicopters up in the air assessing the damage and all the drones. And then they had all the viewer footage sent in. Most dramatic was one guy had some dashboard camera of a line of cars, and he was one of them, driving on one of the most busiest highways around here, down to one lane, just barely getting through two overturned tractor trailers that had left just enough room for the cars to go through. They were both knocked on their side by the crazy winds that came through. There was somebody's home with Gulf-size hail falling. There was torrential downpours, power outages, all kinds of craziness. And then they went to all the official numbers and everything. 3/4 of an inch of rain over here. I mean, it's, we get like a few inches a year. I mean, this is a big deal. I think there was more rain yesterday in some areas than there had been almost for the whole year so far, with more to come, hopefully, in the monsoon season. We can use the rain, but it was 1/2 an inch here and 3/4 an inch there, and 0.79, 4/5 of an inch over here. And then they came back after all of this dramatic footage of the storms and the outages and the damage and the wind and the sand and all that. And they come back to the anchor, and the anchor went back in his seat and just cracked up. And he said, and after all that, the official reading for Phoenix is going to be like 0.001 of an inch of rain. And everybody cracked up, because if you don't live here, then you don't know. But if you do, you know the inside joke. That years ago, the climate hoaxsters, or whoever was in charge of this thing, moved the official reading for the temperature and the rain, all the weather readings for Phoenix, from downtown Phoenix, where there actually are human beings, to Sky Harbor International Airport, where, of course, there's never anybody walking around on the corner of the tarmac, which is the hottest and the driest spot in the entire region by far. And I looked it up, and man, he was right. The official reading was 0.0 by the National Weather Service, 0.01 inches of rain. So to the climate hoaxsters and the rest of the people all over that don't live here, they're like, see, it's dry, it's hot, it's the world. We need to save the world. We need to steal more money from everybody and make them live ridiculously like we're back 100 years ago. Like, yeah, because, man, look, all the numbers are showing you, well, all the truth. Of course, everybody knows that wherever anybody was, there's rain, there's heat, there's cool, but the temperature's always about 5 degrees hotter on the official temperature than it is where anybody is. And the rain is always way lower. I mean, 80 times lower, 50, 60 times lower than the official reading. So come on now, we know what you're doing. I had a client, I first got into this and learned about it years ago. I had a client who's a grant writer. There's a ton of U.S. government grant money available for things. However, the process is incredibly cumbersome and complicated, and there's pages and pages of documents. You got to fill them all right, or you get rejected. Then you got to write the whole thing out, or you're not going to get the money, and it's going to get delayed, and you don't want that. So these grant writers that know how to sift through all the government nonsense in the forms and how to write the grants and get the money. And one thing I said to her, this was back during one of the first 2 terms of Obama, not the current 3rd term, and I was like, man, they're all into all this climate change nonsense. Must be, you must be writing a lot of grants for the climate change stuff. And she just laughed at me. She said, are you kidding? You don't need a grant writer for that. They're practically bending over backwards to just give grant money away. All you have to do is say that I'm going to prove that it's drier and hotter than it's ever been. The world is ending. And man, they just shower you with money immediately. It's almost impossible to not get a grant when you just say, I'm going to study something about the climate hoax, something about how, the earth is ending and we got to save the world and whatever. So you wonder why there's all this nonsense about, the scientists all agree and all the studies show and all the way. Well, of course, if you take that money and that's your hypothesis and you're going to test this and you want more money, then of course you've got to come through with your conclusion that, the world is ending and we all got to drive cars we don't want to drive and live like we don't want to live, and government's got to take more of our money. Everyone knows, of course, there's much better uses to it, but we got to give it to all kinds of companies and all kinds of the crony capitalism that goes on in the whole climate hoax world. And so we had a tremendous illustration of it last night. It was kind of comical. Everyone on that newscast, and I was, and I'm sure lots of people around the area were just cracking up when that anchor came back and said, after all that massive rain, wind, damage, whatever, but the official reading, we're in a massive drought and a massive heat wave and the world is ending, and that's just the way it is. No real business lesson here other than manipulation is very powerful. So if you're selling, which you're a business owner, I guess this is a business tip, you've got to get really good at selling, at convincing, at influencing, at persuading, manipulating, whatever you want to call it. You got to get people to believe what you want them to believe, and you can really check out the climate hoaxsters. I mean, even they obviously don't believe their own nonsense because they all live in mansions with massive carbon footprints, and they fly private jets, and they drive a fleet of cars, and obviously they don't believe it. If they believe that smoking wasn't bad for you, they'd all be smoking cigarettes. If they really believe that carbon is somehow ending the world, they wouldn't be living like they're living. But of course, that's the way crony capitalism works, and you have shining examples of it here from the Phoenix, Scottsdale metropolitan area, day after day, year after year. By the way, I looked up on the National Weather Service to get those numbers, and I saw that actually, out of the 10 hottest summers in history in Phoenix, only 2 of them have come, 2002 and 2009 in this century. And out of the top 10 coldest years in the history of Phoenix, on that list, 2011, 12, 15, 17, 18, 20, boom, bang. But wait, I forgot. The world is ending. Global warming, climate changing. Please steal all of my money and give it to your crony capitalist friends who make up all kinds of ridiculous stuff to take the government money. That's it for Topical Tuesday. I know another topic is coming up this week is gotta be hilarious. I gotta watch this thing, this debate between Trump and Biden. I mean, they put it early enough that this will be the last hurrah for Biden. I'm pretty sure they'll get rid of him after this. But come on, it's the Trump show. You gotta watch that. You have no idea what this guy's gonna say or do, and it's always fun. I know there's people that take politics all seriously, but who the president is, that doesn't make that much of a difference, does it? Look around. Like, the government grows, spends more money, gets involved in all kinds of ridiculous things, taxes us to give money to foreign governments while our own country is crumbling. That's not going to change no matter who's the president. So, but it is fun to watch, and I'll be watching that. So you get a twofer here on Topical Tuesday. 2 topics: the climate hoax and the Trump show. Fun week. Hope you're having fun as well. Catch you tomorrow on World Wide Web Wednesday.